And I'm going to move away now again, and now you've changed your mind again, from the left right, because of the fact that I'm doing substitution into bracketed form. Then I can use the space differently again. Okay, and my first candidate is 1, -4. So I'm going to go 2 bracket minus 5 bracket equals 22. And just for a bit of speed here and for a bit of sausage cutting mentality, talk about that in class, what I mean by that, but I think you might know. Just kind of doing as much as you can on autopilot where you don't have to think a lot. So this is our bracketed form of the standard form of the equation. So now I'm subbing in 1, -4, getting our relative positions right, of course. It's always relative positions, x first and y second. That's the policy and the strategy we're taking. 2 plus 20 equals 22. That's good, but we're not there yet. We have to check this one. 1, -4. This does not look good. Okay, that's -28, and this is small, so that's a failure. So what I want to do now is just remove the calculation parts. No, I didn't want to remove that, I just wanted to take out. So, and this is where having a pencil with a rubber would come into it big time. Or just have a separate rubber. So basically I'm removing that part of the substitution. And I'm going back and looking at my second candidate point, which is -4, -6. So I'll put it up, B is -4, -6. I'm being a bit lazy here, you know, the comma and the bracket are pretty much optional for what I need to be thinking about right here. Maybe at the very end I can say, with the proper notation, satisfies the system. So -4 goes here, -6 goes here, that's -8, that's 30. 30 subtract 8 is 22. Forgot to use a squiggle, but now I'm happy with that, that's true. Okay, doesn't mean we're there yet. This mightn't work either. Putting -4 here, subbing. I've done all my subbing, that's one job. Now my calculating, but I'm not good at all. Whoosh, way too negative. Okay, you got -12, then you got more negativity, way too negative. Let's take that out. Let's not dwell upon it, we don't need to report too much. This is no longer important. And this is not important anymore, because that failed. C. Now there is a skill, of course, looking at the whole question and kind of doing an awful lot in your head. It's only you will have just look at these and do some juggling in your head and get the answer, and that's great. You're just, you know, once you've picked the answer, you can always just go straight to that one and then verify it, still using the same kind of care and the same reporting, but just on that one. So you don't have to start with A. You can say, hang on a second now, let me it's a word in maths for it. It's use the technique of by inspection. So let me try and find the answer by inspection. I'm not dumb, I can do numbers in my head and stuff, and I can see particular patterns, so let's not pretend that I have to show anything or that I have to use the equations to find the answer. That's called algebra. By inspection is kind of where arithmetic that you used to do meets algebra, and don't forget, you know an awful lot of arithmetic and you've been doing it for many, many years. So that's doing things by inspection, which we possibly could have done for this one. Keep an eye on that. So 6 -2 for question 18. 6 -2 being subbed into the top one. 6 -2. 12 plus 10 equals 22. Good. 6 negative 2. 18 take 14. Yes, equals 4. We got it. Okay, so C. Now I don't think I wrote down my answer for 13, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do it by inspection. I'm going to see how quickly I can figure which one it is. It's not nice. So, but I'll work it out. 1. So it's not the first one. And I'm actually doing this. I'm doing it in the, I'm going to be cheeky and do it without, in its non-standard form. So I'm moving on to the second one. 15 is 15. No, it doesn't seem to be, so it'll have to be the last one now. Is I might have already mixed up my left-rights there. It's not easy for inspection. For inspection it might be nice if it was in standard form, but I'm getting all jumbled up. So if you try something by inspection it doesn't work, just abandon it and go say I'll do it the way I always do them. I'll step down a gear and make things easy for me. So I'm doing 13 again, but I might speed it up, and certainly it might look differently than I did it the last time, because our algorithm has developed. That's okay, that's the way we want things to go. So essentially it should be 2x plus 3y equals 1. You can see how quickly I wrote that into standard form. And negative x. And how else am I talking about these? I can go, well, that's 2 times something plus 3 times something equals 1. Okay, and get ready for my substitution. Down we go below. Negative x, so negative whatever I get. Well, I better write it once at least. Minus x plus 2y equals negative 11, because we subtract 11 from both sides. So that's the subtractive property of equivalence. If you subtract stuff, you get equivalence. And that's minus a bracket plus 2 times a bracket equals 11. And now I might try and do things by inspection from here. Can I take a half naught? Half? Well, that's true, that works here. And I might show it only afterwards. Half? No, it doesn't work on the second one. So the first, the second equation. So the first point doesn't work. 5, negative 3. 5, that's telling me what they are, so I can use this as a leapfrog position from to here. 5, negative 3, does it work? That works. Does this work? Ooh, look at that mistake. I was kind of going, this is negative 11, that's plus 11, ooh, something dodgy there. And that step alone, what I just did there, is like, that should be right, so I found a little slip. You're always trying to doubt yourself a little bit, because we're human and we can make mistakes, which I've just found there. So then, when I'm going, well, what is this? This is the number 5, negative 3. So there's another advantage of the substitution. The fact that you've put them in brackets means you can read from them what the point was. Okay, it was B. Alright? But it was also the point. 5, negative 3. Okay, we'll keep the camera rolling. It certainly does seem long. It's a good thing it was a weekend for this. And again, I'm doing it particularly slowly for those people who are doing it for the first. We're all doing it for the first time, but those people who are struggling with it. Now, I'm going to just part 1. And so, part 1. Just going to look at the homework one more time. I have it written down in my book. I think. did I write it into? Well, oh, it was 13 to 18, that's what it was. Okay. Actually, we're going to find probably these are a bit quicker because we just get straight to the answer. So from 30, we're only doing part 1. Page 58, if you can see the page number from the scan I gave you. Now we're just saying, you know, I'd say, why aren't I using your book? But this is called atomization. This is called, in maths, this is called breaking it down into simpler steps, into one type of problem. And then as you get better and better, we mix up the problems. So this should be making things easy for you. So it looks much easier from this first, at the beginning there's less information. The only information is, I have 11x plus 2y equals 7. And I have 7x minus 2y equals 11. And in each case, the title here is use addition for elimination. So we love this elimination because it's going to eliminate the y's and we're going to be able to find the x pretty quickly. So we get 18x equals 18. Okay. Now we can use this formula to tell us the answer by dividing by 18. So we can solve that by using the equation and using equivalence. The equivalence rule here is the equivalence of division. Divide both sides by 18. So we take the 1 and we remind ourselves we're going to substitute him into either of the equations. Let's use the top. Okay, so now that's 11 plus 2y equals 7. 2y equals, subtract 11 from both sides. Okay, y equals negative 2. And probably in this question I'm going to decide how the layout should be so that it can fit nicely on a board and you can look at it nicely on YouTube. Pause and see everything. So I've used up all the space, and given this, that this isn't a very complicated question, I shouldn't really have used up all the space. And at the same time I'm trying to build in the enough steps that you can all understand and bring you all along. Okay, so let's just try to contract things here a bit, contract them up along. So we ended up, let's cheat and say we got to there. And then after a little bit of maths, we got to y equals minus 2. So now what we want to do is put them in order. The minus should have been inside. Okay, put them in order, and now we can kind of do what we were doing earlier, which will be a quick way of doing it. Will be 11 bracket plus 2 bracket equals 7, and there's no point in finishing that one. Now this will work, okay, because we haven't made a mistake, so this isn't going to be as drawn out as the last question. And indeed, I'll be using the exact same again. No, I won't. Yes, I will. I'm using the, and no, silly me. I've used the top already. I should be using the bottom, so I'm using the independent equation, the equation that hasn't been used. Because if I'd made a mistake getting this and then I use the same equation again, I'd be sitting on top of the same mistake, and I'll never know the difference. It's very important to use the equation you didn't choose beforehand. So that's a learning point for me, and I hope it's a learning point for you, especially when you see the teacher like only realizing how it must be emphasized that whatever equation you used, and maybe that's what we're going to do, we're going to mark the equation we used to get y after the elimination. And we often use a tick in maths to mark, but a tick won't really work here, it'll look a bit weird. So we just put a star in front of the one we've used already, which tells us don't use that one, use the other one when you're verifying. And some of you will be skipping this step because you know you don't have to do it, but I'm really emphasizing that if you don't verify your work now, if you don't start with a good habit to verify your work, you'll come a cropper sooner or later, especially when it's later on in maths. You'll be working out solutions and some of the answers aren't right, even though you didn't make a mistake. So so please do this step. So we're using the bottom of the two equations. We could say, okay, this is the double star, we're using it now, we use that one first, we're using this one second. And now we're good to go with the substitution, and the substitution has an order to it, the same way this has an order to it. Okay, so 1 goes here, negative 2 goes here. We have 7 plus 4 equals 11. And that's our answer. You can see this is much easier than before. And then you plate up your answer, you present your answer as part and parcel of being good at maths is presentation. You say to the examiner, listen, the deal is the two numbers x and y can be put in an order. It's called, do you know what it's called? It's not called a pair of numbers, whatever you want to call it. An ordered pair is what I call it. We put it in an ordered pair where it's agreed the x comes first and then the second. The ordered pair, it's a pair of numbers x and y. The x number we know is 1. The y number is minus 2. Now you can say you've written it here, but here we weren't worried about the brackets and the comma. The comma was there, but we could have even left it out. As long as we left enough space there, we knew what was what. This was for ourselves, this was our rough work. This is plating up the answer and saying that's the answer. And really want to emphasize things, didn't do that.